guys. Welcome back to yet another episode of Something Super Podcast. I'm here with my co hosts,
I'm Mark.
And I'm Jay.
and you know me, I'm Steve. And this week we are going to talk about Titans. Not just the anime Titans, but the current live action DC Titans on what is now, I guess, HBO Max because DC Universe is going to hell. So we're going to talk the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully some expectations for season 3. So what do you guys got for me?
So I say let's start with the things we liked about the show. And my one thing I really enjoyed was Jason Todd. They finally somebody nailed him. The way his character is, the way he acts, the way he talks, the way he fights just seems like they took it from what the comics and what he should have been.
Oh, absolutely. Kern Walters is actually the actor's name. I think he plays him really well. He has that really like cocky, arrogant attitude, and that works for him. He has the look down, at least in my opinion, and just the way he carries himself is very Jason Todd. I mean, the scene where he has the motorcycle in the house and he's like riding down the steps, like that is exactly what Jason Todd would do.
I personally like the excuse when they're like, they bring it up later on and he's trying to talk about how he's grown up and how he's like matured. And they're like, is that why you're riding motorcycles? And he's like, I'm working on my aerodynamic abilities. And they're like, yeah, we're sure that's what you were doing. Like,
and it's exactly it. Like he is just the smart ass, cocky piece of shit that we all know and love.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I know in our earlier seasons, Steve, me and you, we did our super villain beatdown episode with Deathstroke versus Godspeed. It comes to no surprise that Deathstroke to me was always an intriguing character in the comics. Just his backstory, the way he can flip from good to bad to bad to you think he's good, but he's really bad. Like, I feel like they did such a good job, not only with the casting of, I think his name is, I think you say Esai Morales. He did such a good job just picking up the mantle because as up till now, I mean, you had Lou Manganiello in the DCEU, even though was literally just a cutscene, but I know they're bringing him back now for the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. But really, the only live action reference you have is Manu Bennett from the Arrowverse, who did a phenomenal job as well. And I think that was season 2. And then he pops back up in the later season, but he plays the main antagonist in season 2. So here, I really like what they did because they added something that no live action has added before, and that was his kids, Rose and Jericho, to where they're both key players in the comics. Like, Rose is his sidekick for a while, as you learn in Titans. They kind of took one storyline and they moved it to fit Rose as opposed to oh my god, what's her name? Avalanche, I think it was. But basically, like, she's an inside mole. She's the one who's kind of like pretend she's part of the Titans, but really she's a mole for Deathstroke. Like, yeah, the whole thing with Jericho and his backstory. I like that they kept it true to the comics, where eventually Deathstroke's past as a mercenary catches up to him, and he's too stubborn and too like prideful to be like, hey, I need to protect my family. And literally the guy's holding a knife to Jericho's throat, and he's like, hey, like, you're just gonna leave now. And the guy's like, no, I'm gonna slit your son's throat. And then he just does it. Like, that's what happens in the comics. Like, so for me, I really like the backstory that they gave Deathstroke. They kept it very, very true to the comics. I think they're taking an interesting take on Starfire, having her kind of like a amnesia storyline to where she didn't know who she was or what she was. Obviously, you got Hawk and Dove storyline was very intriguing for me because I wasn't ready for Thad Castle to be a crime-fighting superhero.
Are you shocked he played football as a child, though?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, that's where I thought it kind of shined because they did have the flashbacks to like when he was in college and he was having like the CTE and the concussions, and that gave me a very Thad Castle vibe. when he's just pounding beers at the party after the game. He's like, "No, I'm just gonna keep playing." Like,
Yeah,
so,
no, that is exactly what BMS would want.
right. So for me, like, I liked that casting. I like the way that they did it, but I like how he's more serious in this. Like, he's not the always joking around. He's not over the top. He's
Yes.
very grounded in how he would react to the backstory that they gave him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for those of you that have seen it, obviously Dove was originally his adoptive brother who died, and then his girlfriend, I guess now fiance, wife, whatever they are, picked up the mantle. Um, it's it's a tragic backstory for Hawk, to say the least. I know we're talking about the goods in the series, and although this is like extremely dark and sort of awkward to have a conversation about, I think it really gives depth to his character being, molested as a child, and then his starting of his superhero career was going after child molesters on like the, Megan's List website.
Right. And for me, I mean, obviously, in any superhero, there's always that dramatic backstory. Uncle Ben died. Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered. Superman's planet got destroyed. Like, there's always that backstory. But the fact that they took this into such a serious matter, especially nowadays, that they really did such a great job. And I mean, for me, not even to like go off of Hank Hall, like, I mean, Ryan Potter, he plays Beast Boy, where I think Beast Boy honestly had some of the most shining moments in the show, but I feel like they need to start doing more with him. Like we were talking about earlier, Steve, you were saying like he only changes into a tiger right now, and then one time he changed into a snake. Well, but like as far as like the personality goes, like that's Garth. Garth is like he's playful, he's always looking for the optimistic side of things.
He's
And
the comic relief.
yeah, and honestly, it goes a little bit beyond even comic relief because, like, yes, he is a very comical person, but he is also a kid. Like, he's only, I think, 14 or 15 when he joins the Teen Titans. Like,
I
and
also like that he brings out the happier side of Raven, like trying to pull her from being so dark and just like in her head, like everything's like terrible, and makes her like be a kid like he is. That helps.
right, and yeah, and I mean that's how it is in all the animated series. That's how it is in the comics. Like, there's an awkward like love story there between those two, where it's more of like a kid having a crush on a girl, and Raven kind of always shrugs it off. But yeah, he's the one that kind of he's her moral compass. So
Sure.
when she starts going down those dark roads, he's the one that can kind of pull them back. And what I like in Titans is he becomes that moral compass for everybody. Obviously, we're getting a much darker Robin, and when I say Robin, I mean Dick Grayson, not Jason Todd. Like we have a much darker Hawk and Dove because of their backstories. Like when you learn about the original Titans, like where it was Hawker or not Hawker, I'm sorry, Dove, Hawk, you had Robin, Wonder Girl, and Aqualad. Like when they're fighting Deathstroke, like they're using family to get to him. Like they're taking the low road to try. They're stooping down to Deathstroke's level to try to beat him. Where this time, like when they all separate, Beast Boy's keeping like a log of like his days. I think it's like by day 3, he's just so like bummed out because literally his only job is to watch Superboy until he wakes up. But even there, like the first day, he's like so happy and chipper. He's like, day 1, here's what I'm getting done. I'm doing this. I'm training here. I'm making breakfast. Now I'm reading. And then he's like reading the like childhood stories to Superboy while he's sleeping. Like he's just such a positive character. And then he
Yeah.
eventually, starts dropping down, but then he comes back and he gets that like spark back. So that's something I really liked. I want to see more in season 3 of Beast Boy.
Yeah, I liked his character. Again, my gripe is not necessarily with him. I guess it's more of a budgeting thing that they really just made a tiger a bunch of times. And that's fine. I get it. It was a startup show. It gained a little bit more traction with season 2. I'm really excited to see season 3. I know this has been a topic of conversation with us multiple times. Um, Jason Todd. becoming the Red Hood. I've seen the promo pictures for his costume. It looks awesome. Again, Curran Walters, great actor. I'm excited to see what he does with the character. And just, going forward with that, we have our reservations, obviously, about how they're going to bring in the Lazarus Pit and the League and Ra's al Ghul, et cetera, et cetera. All of the potential things that really make the Red Hood the Red Hood. But if they do it right, I think it could be the best season yet.
Right. And like, just to add on to that, like for me, I'm excited for season 3 because there's so much that they're presenting. However, that also makes me really, really nervous because the storylines that they're going are going to have to introduce big name villains. Like at the end of season 2, we see like Blackfire is now on Earth and hunting Starfire. You have Superboy, who's now starting to run into a Lex Luthor story. So now you got to introduce Lex Luthor. If you have Red Hood, that means that he has to die. And how are they going to play that? Is it going to be the Joker? Is it going to be Ra's al Ghul in the Lazarus Pit? Or are they going to maybe use Raven to revive him? Like, there's a couple different ways that they could change the story arc. But for me, I'm just nervous that they're going to try to cram too much into season 3 and not have the budget to do it. And it's going to come out not as good as it could.
Sure. And, the big things that we've talked about as well are season 1 finale and the beginning of season 2, which really shouldn't have been two separate things. It should have been one and the same. I feel like episode 1 from season 2 really should have been the final episode of season 1. We've talked about Trigon being the all-powerful demon that he is and how on screen they beat him in like 25 minutes.
That would have been like
let down.
Oh my god, that would have been like if the MCU build up Thanos and then he came to Earth and like Captain America punched him in the face. Not even that, just like Iron Man punched him in the face and he fell. And that was it.
I mean, and I think that's what the MCU does really well, is it sort of leaves you hanging with that cliffhanger feel. Again, like I said, Thor with the Stormbreaker in the chest. Like, we thought it was over and that would have been it, but boom, snaps and he's gone. And I feel like that is the ending they should have had with Trigon. I mean, again, it's a personal thing. Hate me if you want, but that is my opinion on it. Is Trigon is such a great character in the original animated series. He's one of those players that sort of pops in and out because he is a part of Raven, that they really did him dirty in this. And that's just, I can't express that enough.
Yeah, in the animated movie, Justice League versus Teen Titans, I mean, without even like exerting himself, he mind controls all the Justice League, like the strongest of the strongs. Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, like they all fall victim to him. Mm-hmm. In the Injustice comics, he literally fights off like the Yellow Lantern. He fights off Sinestro, Superman, Wonder Woman, like all these powerful beings. And he's a world eater. Like he is a demon. And he gets taken out in a cornfield by a 12-year-old girl who barely knows how to use her powers. And doesn't even get trapped in the most focal point of Raven, which is the crystal in her head. They make that out of her broken heart. Like, that storyline to me was like, what the hell? Like, when he kept saying, like, you have to break her heart first, I was like, okay, he's just going to kill them all. And then that's what's going to make her turn to, like, the dark side. And then something's going to happen to where they can bring them back, or they're actually just trapped in another dimension or something. But no, it was literally just, I'm going to mind control your friends, have them beat the shit out of Beast Boy, and that's it. Now your heart broke. Now I'm going to take your heart, crush it into a crystal, and then you're going to kill me. And it's just going to be stuck in your head. And it's like, no, that's not the story at all. Like,
not how any of this works.
But I definitely agree. Like, the season 2 premiere was definitely the season 1 finale. Like, no questions asked, nothing about it. Like, if anything, I would have liked them see them confront Trigon, but not necessarily just like fully defeat him. Maybe make him have to retreat to where you can bring him back in a later season.
Yes.
As compared to just, oh, like that was it. He's gone now. Because it's like, where are you going to go from there? You literally just knocked out literally probably a top 5 most powerful being in the entire DC universe.
Well, and again, that's not to say that he won't come back, but again, just the way that they played it out in a single episode, I just felt like it was rushed. You know, even if he popped up mid second season as, you know, the peak of the story arc or something, you know, it's just it hurt watching it. I was so excited for the end of season 1. I knew Trigon was coming, and I was like, all right, let's make it happen. And it was like, all right, season 2, here we go. Are they just going to forget about him? Nope. They just brought him back and they nerfed the shit out of him.
It was horrible. That, I mean, for me, like the build up was amazing. The way that they built out like for me, with the problem with Titans is they write a great story. They build the characters using backstory and dialogue and all that. They do all that great. You understand why each character is the way they are and who they are. And then they build up the villain, and then they take a page out of Marvel's book, and he's done. Like, that's it. They did it with Trigon. They did it with Deathstroke. Like, Deathstroke you can kind of bring back, but like they quote unquote killed Deathstroke by stabbing him in the stomach when the man has healing capabilities. Like in the comics, he's been shot in the freaking head and healed from it. So like, and now Jericho's just living inside of Rose. Not sure what they're going to do with that storyline, if anything, or if that's just where they're going to leave that. Like, is Rose now going to be part of the Titans, or was that kind of like, I did my part, we took down Slade, I'm going to go my separate way? You had Wonder Girl die at the end of season 2, which boggles my fucking mind that she was killed by electrocution when she's an Amazonian. I forget if she's Wonder Woman's daughter or she's just she's just one of the higher class Amazonians, right?
I believe so. I feel like she's like a demigod in that respect, where she's like half Amazonian. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am, but I believe she's like half Amazonian, and that's why she doesn't have as many powers as like Diana would. But even still, like that whole scene, and again, build up to her death is either going to punch forward into season 3, like we'd said, and maybe Raven's going to bring her back to life or something. But I mean, Christ, Connor was standing right there, and he is a genetic duplicate of Superman.
So she is Zeus's granddaughter and Wonder Woman's niece. Okay. Her father was a British super soldier named Lennox Sandsmark, who's Wonder Woman's half brother, but is a son of Zeus. So she's a demigod.
Yeah. So she doesn't have all of the powers of Diana, just like Superboy doesn't have all the powers of Superman, et cetera, et cetera. I can go down the list forever. Aqualad doesn't have all the Aquaman powers. But it's very, you know, I mean, it's their nerfed counterparts. I get it. I don't know, for me, like we had spoke about before, and we're going to say this until season 3 gets it right, but they really had a lot of shit they got to catch up with. Jay, I know you said your favorite character is Jason Todd, and you've been fairly quiet for this conversation. So what are you looking forward to in season 3 with him? None of us can hear you, by the way.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Nope, you're gone again.
So while Jay's fixing his technical difficulties, for me, I'm just curious to see what they take with Jason Todd and the Red Hood. Are they going to make him an anti-hero? Are they going to make him a good guy? Or are they going to start him off as a villain? Like, not sure where they're going to go with that storyline with him. I like the way that they're building Wonder Boy to where he's kind of morally learning what's good and what's bad, and seeing where that's going to take him. And if maybe we will maybe see Clark Kent or a Superman come up, at least as a cameo in the flashback or something, or in it where maybe he finds him and talks to him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think I'm back.
Oh,
Am I back? Yeah, I'm back.
This is
All
what we
right.
get for doing things over Zoom. Thank you,
Yeah.
COVID.
Way to
Yeah.
go.
Thanks, COVID. But what I was gonna say was I was gonna hit on the same point. Basically, Mark kind of hit my thing with I was looking forward to was I want to see what they're gonna do with the Jason Todd, how they make him the Red Hood. I really hope they bring the crowbar in just because it's just iconic. Just that Joker just beats him with the crowbar and just kind of laughs in Batman's face as he does it.
So even if they don't want to introduce the Joker, and obviously they've been hesitant about bringing a full Batman onto the series as Batman, they had the Bruce Wayne cameo at the end.
Yeah.
I'm completely okay with them like doing an opening to season 3 pan sequence over Jason Todd's dead body with a bloody crowbar next to him. Like that would be iconic.
I would be so happy to see it. Like as dark as it sounds, just because it's like, all right, I'm gonna get the Red Hood I want.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the tortured soul Jason Todd that
Oh, you
literally
can
got the
tell he's a
shit.
tortured soul now. Like there's something wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Now
But I'm
wait.
saying like as far as like how he died
Yeah.
in the worst way. Like it wasn't quick, it wasn't painless. It was the most painful, stretched out, elongated version of death. With
And you had that man just sitting in your face laughing, telling you should be smiling while it happens.
Yep, and like that's rough. So maybe
Yeah.
seeing that, and I'm okay with opening up with that, or something to that effect. They might not do that, whatever. I'm fine with it either way. But if that is how they go about it, I am 100% bought in.
And I've also heard one other thing. They might be bringing Scarecrow in on season 3, which
That would be awesome.
that would be start hitting some of their worst fears against them is gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
Because I could definitely see Nightwing's worst fear being he turns into Batman.
or he turns out worse than Batman.
Yeah, because that's the one thing he's been trying to run away from the whole time.
Yeah, I know he had the, I don't want to say it because it's not. I don't guess it's technically a thing in the DC universe, but like the Superman complex, that every time he puts the suit on, he feels like he's invincible, and that's his biggest problem, is that he doesn't know restraint when he wears the suit, which is why he changed his persona from Robin to Nightwing to sort of be better and break away from Batman. So I would like to see that side of him as well.
Yeah, but then what are some of the other fears do we think they have? Because I have a feeling Hawks is gonna probably be something either with his brother not being able to save him.
Yeah. Or possibly Dove, like the new Dove at this point, because he's
Yeah.
in love with her, although
Well,
they do have very-
his fear is probably going to be then Dove picks Nightwing over him, because that's
Yeah.
been an ongoing storyline this whole time.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of those things that they allude to throughout the entire season. And you see Hawk sort of go down that really dark path where he's, on the painkillers and he's drinking a lot. And that's you see the darker side of superheroing, the side that they don't show on most TV movies, etc. That it really does take a toll on your body. Not all of these people are Superman. Not all of these people are Batman, where they're training every single day. Like they did it because they think it's right, not because they have, some crazy ulterior motive or superpowers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the one episode, Hulk literally got so fucked up that he sold his suit to a guy and didn't even remember doing it.
Yep.
Just so he could get money for drugs. And then he sees on the news that like Hulk beat up a laundromat. And he's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah. So I want to see that storyline sort of branch out as well. And maybe they'll touch back in on the original Titans. I think Aqualad was underutilized. We saw him for what, 5 minutes on the screen.
Did
Right.
he even get 5 minutes?
Probably not. I might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, I don't even think he got 5 minutes, which
I
is
think he
just
got
utterly
2.
depressing.
He was in 2 missions where they showed him for like 30 seconds combined. Then you had all the love story build up, and then he got shot by Deathstroke.
Yeah,
Yep.
quite sad.
Rough.
But no, if they go the Scarecrow, like you figure you got, like you guys said, with Nightwing, his biggest fear could be either something with along the lines of his parents, and that it could be
Ooh. That
It
is a
could
good
be
one
the
too.
Batman line that you guys were saying with Raven. Obviously, she's got a lot of pent up fears. Maybe that's where they reintroduce Trigon.
Oh, maybe.
That actually would be
She's so
Maybe.
afraid of
hurting all of her friends that she accidentally lets Trigon go.
well, maybe it's something along the lines of like her fear brings back Trigon, and then her not knowing not realizing it's a hallucination actually brings him back.
Yeah.
Like not realizing it. I mean, you have Starfire, where I'm not sure what her fears would be. The only thing that she really had going against her was that she was sent here to kill Raven. So that could be. I mean, honestly, Scarecrow could cause this team to implode. You could have Hank going after Dick Grayson. You could have Starfire going after Raven, Beast Boy. I mean, he was experimented on. Like, there's a lot of things there that they could go and tackle with if they bring Wonder Girl back. Like, obviously, she died. Like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of ways that they could go about it if they keep, obviously, with Jason Todd. If he dies, depending on when Scarecrow gets introduced and when Red Hood appears, like you saw at the end of the second season, like he had serious PTSD. He would just be staring out the window, just imagining he's still falling.
Yeah. And I think another big thing that we briefly touched on, but I would like to see it delved into a little bit more. A huge fear of Dick Grayson is that the team's going to fall apart again. The team is going to implode, like you said, again. You know, you saw what happened with the original Titans after Aqualad's death. They all sort of went their separate ways. They never spoke. They had rare contact with each other. And when Dick Grayson was reaching out to Dove for help with Raven, I mean, Hawk was like, yo, go fuck yourself. Like, what are you doing here? So that I think that another large fear of his is seeing the team fail again, which is something he doesn't want to happen.
And see, that's where I could see that being the solution to the problem. So they all get infected with the fear toxin, or only certain ones do. And that's what pushes Dick Grayson to overcome the fear toxin is I need to snap these guys out. Kind of like what they did at the end of season 1 with Trigon when they were all under mind control, where Beast Boy was reaching out and getting to them. I think maybe this time it'll have to be Dick and his leadership and his role as, honestly, as a father figure kind of to the kids, to where that would be what they would have to do. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do really well with Scarecrow that no one's really done yet. Like in the Arkham Knight game, like Scarecrow is the main antagonist. Like he brought an entire city to their knees pretty much by himself. I mean, he had Red Hood's help, but overall, like there wasn't much else. Like his fear toxin is what everybody was afraid of. I mean, even Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins uses Scarecrow as like one of his pawns to initiate his whole plan. So for me personally, if they bring in Scarecrow, I mean, that just adds to the list of things that they could potentially mess up. But at the same time, it's something that if done right, it could actually be very good.
Yeah, definitely. And again, you know, these are all just speculations, but there is a lot they can do right with this season. And Scarecrow's not one of the like major players when it comes when you think of Batman villains. You know, you're thinking Penguin, you're thinking Joker, and I think
Bane.
Of course, Bane. You know, bringing Scarecrow into it is awesome because he's going to get his screen time. He's going to get his, you know, due diligence as a bad guy, but it's also not overdoing what we've already seen a million times over. You know, you don't need to introduce the Joker, but a little bit background on the Scarecrow might be nice. For those people that have never seen it, don't really know anything about the Scarecrow, like that would be an interesting take on him.
Right. I mean, honestly, like he's a legitimate doctor. I believe he is a chemist, if I'm not mistaken, or I think he's a chemist. But basically, his whole backstory was basically that his dad was trying to develop a fear toxin and was testing it on him the entire time. And basically would like lock him in the closet with like scary ass scarecrows, which is why he takes on the persona of a scarecrow. So him and Batman mentally kind of go through a similar struggle there. So like Batman dresses up like a bat because that's what the criminals fear. Well, Scarecrow dresses up as the Scarecrow because that's what he fears.
Yeah.
So embodying his own fear, because if you embody your own fear, then nothing will scare you.
Yeah, he's again, I mean, looking into it, most of the villains in Gotham are doctors.
Yep.
They are very well educated people. And that's to say the least. I mean, Harley Quinn, doctor. Scarecrow, doctor.
Mr. Freeze was a scientist.
Doctor.
He's trying to save his wife, man. Why you guys gotta hate on
Was
him?
an
Man?
Ivy.
I don't hate on Arnold. I really don't. I can't. Arnold didn't play Mr. Freeze. Arnold just played a guy that was painted blue and just said really quippy ice puns.
Yeah, the ice puns were probably the best part of that movie.
I mean,
Just
Harvey
throwing it out
Dent wasn't a doctor, but he was a district attorney. Like he's very
Yep.
much like.
You look at like the majority of Gotham's villains are just doctors, which, you know, begs the question: is it the more educated you get, the more you realize the world's not a great place?
Well, Bane, I'm pretty sure they said Bane's IQ is like off the charts too.
Yeah, he's just a luchador.
Yeah, he is very intelligent, but he's more of a puzzle master type of thing. Like he can see the pieces of the puzzle. He can see bigger pictures. And like he can do the legwork to find stuff out. Like he's one of the only villains who ever actually broke down that Bruce Wayne was Batman without like little to no help. Like a lot of the people who found out who like Batman actually is, either Batman told them or it took like an entire winding road to get there, where Bane was like, there's this millionaire playboy that has a lot of money, and there's this superhero that has a lot of expensive gadgets. And like, I think he eventually like traces like Batman signals like to the Batcave, and then he actually finds the Batcave, fucks up Alfred. Like, yeah, Bane's up there, but I don't know. With season 3 of Titans, like I feel like it's either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad, and that makes me really nervous.
Yeah, like season 2, I think they were trying to do a crossover with the CW like Arrowverse, and that would have been awesome because there is so much promise with the Arrowverse, and I love Grant Gustin and I love Stephen Amell, but it did not hit the market wanted to. And I know in one of the crossovers they briefly had a Titans scene or, you know, a quick shot in there. I think we should stray away from that as a whole and just stick to what you're good at. Stick to being the dark, gritty adult version of it, because the CW, you could even go as far as to say it's meant for like teenagers. You know, it's meant to be that like feel good-esque type thing, and that's where Barry Allen falls. Obviously, season 1, 2, and part of season 3 of Arrow was pretty dark, and we liked that. You know, at least I know I did. And Jay, I think you're one of the people that got me into Arrow, so it was one of those super gritty shows, and that's what I liked about it. It's different. It's not the happy-go-lucky, feel-good show that we all expect. You know, you're not always winning. So
yeah, that's why I like Titans so much, because they finally gave an adult
like look at what Titans is, because all the Titans that we've had so far have all been like kiddie shows, like everything's okay, like we can love the enemy still, and this isn't that.
no,
This brings actual adult like situations into their take on comics.
Yeah, and that's exciting for me because as an adult, it's great to see Superman always prevailing and being the winner, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's always going to be that feel good movie that you want to watch. But to see it from the other side where the bad guy can win, it is 100% feasible for the bad guy to win. I like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, Arrow was like, I've been an A1 day one on Arrow from the beginning. Flash, when that first started, like you said, like for me, I love them shows, and we could honestly do a whole episode on that Arrowverse as a whole, or even just specific shows. But where Titans actually like grounds it in reality. Like there's actually consequences to their actions, to the things they say. It's a bigger world, and they deal with real life struggles. I mean, like we said, Hank Hawk, he was molested as a child. Like Dick Grayson is dealing with the trauma of his family dying, and then in the later seasons, he's visualizing Bruce just like trying to talk to him and like guide him. You have Superboy who's learning right from wrong, and he's like, "Oh, I can beat these people up, but I can't kill them." You got Raven who's like, she wants to do the right thing, but she doesn't have full control of her powers, so that overtakes her at times. You have Starfire, who is learning who she is, and she finally learns like she's a princess, but now you have her sister took the throne, is hunting her. Like, you have all these very different people coming together, and you find a way to tie their stories together and give them a common goal to make it feel like a team. Like, they're not just smashed together.
Yeah. And I want to see what they do with Blackfire as well, Starfire's sister, because I remember in the animated series, you know, they were obviously teenagers, so it was more of a like a sibling rivalry type thing, and it was very, I want to say childish, I guess would be the best word for it. But to see what they do as the adult Corey and the adult Blackfire, and basically like Corey has failed what she was supposed to do, which was come to Earth and kill Raven. And now she's even friends with the person she was supposed to kill. So to see her sister and the, you know, interfamily rivalry that will, you know, ensue with that. And her sister, I guess, is now going to be the one after Raven to try to kill her.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with Blackfire too, because literally, like, it was like the goo hit the chick when her ear. So is she actually like here on Earth? Like, is that her, or is that just her subconscious? Like, is that just like a person? Because that lady just straight up left her kids at that grocery store.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'm curious to see where they go with that as well. Yeah, they got a lot of promise for season 3. I'm really hoping that they do it the right way and everything goes smoothly.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm hoping that wasn't the end of Deathstroke, because he's always been a Titans foe. So I'm hoping that was just kind of like, oh, he got beat, and then maybe they took him somewhere to Blackgate or something like that, and it's not like, oh no, he's actually dead. Because they kill him off. Like, I may never watch the show again because that's just outrageous, and I can't go through a show butchering villains the way that they've been going. So
yeah, it's I don't know. I want to see season 3 do better. That's all I can say. You know, after all of the things that we've predicted about it, I just want to see it do better.
yeah. So Jay, what was your favorite, like outside of Jason Todd, like what was your favorite scene, favorite moment from season 1 or season 2?
The beginning when Nightwing gets into the fight and he puts on the Robin suit for the first time, and you just see him just go to work. Like, it just changed his personality. He went from just Dick Grayson, kind of calm, figuring things out, to just complete 180, utter psychopath. To the end, screaming "fuck Batman" when somebody says, "I thought Batman doesn't kill," and he's like throws the R at him. It's like, "Fuck Batman, I'm done."
Yeah, that scene is what actually sort of hooked me on the show. If we're being completely honest, like, he went on his own, did his own thing, beat the shit out of everyone. I mean, ripped the slide off of a gun, jammed it into a dude's face, ran a guy's face up against a brick wall, and just like ripped the skin off. Like, you can't get grittier than that. And that is what I was looking forward to in this show. I heard so many good things about it. I waited until season 1 was completely done filming to sort of just binge it all at once. Holy shit, was I impressed with the first episode. Like, that is the hook right there. You need something like that to get people interested in a show like that.
Yeah, I mean, with that first scene, like, the one thing I loved was when he first drops down, he's on the car, they're like, oh, it's the bird. And like, everybody's looking up. They're like, well, where's Batman? Like, that's what criminals have come to know. And like, that really builds a shadow for him to have to work out of, is the fact that he's literally standing in front of you. and they're still more worried about Batman. Like,
Yes.
because for me, I mean, one thing I didn't like was how fast they killed off his partner. Like, they introduced her.
Yep.
I was like, oh, like, this is going to be a cool, like, buddy cop kind of a season. And then they're like, nah, she's just going to get shot in the face and die. It's like, oh, cool. Like, that's over. But I think for me, if I had to go into one of my favorite scenes, it was probably the church scene in season 2 when you find out, like, what really happened with Jericho when Robin stands up to Deathstroke there. Because, like, the whole time he's like, I killed Jericho. I killed Deathstroke's son. So my whole thing is I'm like, okay, was it like an accidental death that, you know, Dick Grayson actually did kill him? Maybe something happened there. But then they go through, they play it out, and really Deathstroke's the one who ended up killing him. So for me, that was kind of like just a cool scene because you finally got to see like Robin go one-on-one. Like, yeah, he got beaten, he got bested. But it kind of played into him finally like realizing I can't do this on my own. And once he hit that realization, that's where I feel like his character is going to start growing from there. And that's what I'm excited to see carry over into the new season. But yeah, so there's a ton of stuff coming up that we're getting ready to see. I'm really super excited about it. So Jay, outside of, you know, Jason Todd and everything here, you watched a lot of the animated movies and you watched the cartoon Teen Titans, right?
Yes and no. I didn't follow it religiously. I've seen most episodes, honestly, of the Teen Titans. I've utterly refused to watch Teen Titans Go because I don't like I don't like the animated way that I don't like how they did the animations in that. I don't like the way they try to make them more like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like the new way they did it, it bothers me. So I never watched that part one. But do you see animated movies they do every year, like how they do Batman every year and stuff like that? I watch those religiously. I love those movies because they're done well.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's kind of like what I've been comparing this show to, which obviously in a cartoon you can do a lot more than you can in a live action show, but I think the biggest things that we need to see in season 3 is more out of Beast Boy's actual powers. I know that takes money and stuff, but I want to see way more out of that. I want to see Dick Grayson get away from being that super violent type person in the suit. I want to see him start becoming the moral figure of the team like he is in everything else and the leader that he can be. I definitely am interested to see what they do with Wonder Girl and Raven going to Themyscira. So will she come back commanding her powers, where they use her powers to try to revive Wonder Girl? We'll see what happens there. But honestly, my biggest thing that we need in season 3 is better handling on the villains.
Yeah. And again, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The villains need better writing, I guess, into the script. We haven't seen much of like a long-standing villain. We've had the build-ups to each villain in their respective right, but it's been a long build-up for an easy takedown. So I want to see something big happen in season 3. Even if it's Jason Todd, fuck it. Like, make it the Red Hood for the first half of the season. Him beating the shit out of them. Maybe Rose stays with them for a little while, and you know, it was his love interest in the second season. So, you know, her internal turmoil trying not to actually kill him while, you know, trying to defend herself because he has zero semblance of what he used to be as a person.
Yeah, for me, I mean, that's kind of, I would like to see them do Red Hood. Have either of you guys seen the movie The Accountant?
No.
What was that with is that Ben Affleck?
When he's the ex-Marine and he's like an accountant, but he actually
but he's like a killer.
Yeah. So I want to see them build Jason Todd kind of like that, to where it starts off, or even in season 2 of Daredevil, how they introduced the Punisher, how it was kind of like a mystery, like you're just seeing all these like gruesome and violent crime scenes, but you're not actually seeing what's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see them do a storyline like that with Jason Todd. So Jason Todd went off, did his own thing, maybe do everything off screen at first. The death, him coming back. They're just hunting this killer. And then you find out the killer is this Red Hood character. Then they finally catch him. They find out it's Jason Todd, and then that's when we get the backstory. I feel like if they could map it out something along those lines, it would be done great.
Oh no, again, they don't have to be as gruesome and violent as some of the animated series and stuff, which I'm completely okay with. But if they did go that route, I'm quite fine with that as well. But yeah, no, referencing the accountant, like I'd like to see it go down that way, at least for the beginning. While it's still a mystery as to who the Red Hood is, even though we technically all already know, sort of like the Red X in the Titans animated series.
Yeah, that's where I'm pretty much at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I've got as far as my season 3 predictions. Jay, where do you stand?
I said I'm just ready to see the Red Hood finally come out, and I can't wait to see how they actually take it to get him there.
Yeah, same here. I mean, for you guys listening out there, like reach out to us through Facebook, email us, like let us know your thoughts. What are you guys excited for? What are you ready to see? What are your thoughts?
If you're listening to us on Anchor, there is a message option, so you can leave us a message there, or you can shoot us an email at somethingsuperpodcast@gmail.com. Please feel free to check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And again, if you're not on Anchor, you can find us out on the internet. Just search Something Super Podcast and we'll pop up. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch up with you next week. I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Jay.
And thanks for listening.